We're going to be talking about the New Hampshire tweets controversy just a bit, and more so the Dave Smith response to that, which Reed was a part of. And it would be great if Reed came back on the show sometime and did the show with, hey, Reed, hey, it's Reed.
What's up, man?
Hey,
I'm back.
Did you get it all out?
No, I got a cliffhanger, but I had to get back on the show, so I just went with it.
It happens. Are your headphones Bluetooth? Like, did you have them on the whole time?
I could hear it the whole time.
Nice. So you're like, yeah, he's back, and I just don't care. I respect it. I respect it. Reed, I don't think I've had you on since the whole Meghan McCain controversy, and I have dug into it a bit on this show. But from I don't know if you know who posted this tweet or anything, but if you do, feel free to say. And if you don't feel like saying, that's fine too. And you can protect whoever's identity however you feel like. But this tweet, this Meghan McCain crying over her father's casket, very deplorable, disgusting tweet that went way over the line, and I asked you to kindly please continue. But Reed, what did you think about that tweet?
I think it was great. I think that if you explain all the context and you have tons of exposition in your tweet, it's not going to go as viral. It's not going to catch as much attention. Right. And that was the number one criticism from people that I give a shit about. Like people who were just like, oh my God, this is so, like, I don't really care what you had to say. There were other people who were a little bit more constructive and they said, this didn't have enough exposition. You didn't explain why you hate John McCain. This is going after his daughter, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, you can make the most concise expositional criticism of the McCain doctrine and it'll get like maybe 1,000 likes if you're lucky. It will not make international news and show up on the New York Post, show up on CNN, won't have the governor condemn the Libertarian Party and say that it shouldn't exist anymore. Like I consider all of that to be great press. I think
said the guy who doesn't have a Twitter account right now. By the way, we need to double check your Twitter.
I might have a Twitter account right now. We don't know if that's true or not.
Half my jokes for this segment are going to go right out the window if your Twitter account is a pack.
I know. But I'm going to point to someone else who doesn't have a Twitter account who I think we should have learned a lot from is Donald Trump. Like he had a lot of bad policies and he said a lot of things that were just straight up untrue on the stage.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting about him, and we should be taking a page out of his book, is he realized he was going to be hated by the legacy media. So he was an agitator to generate all his own free news that he didn't have to set anything up for. And he knew he'd get wall-to-wall coverage if he just said something a bit outrageous. And
plain defense. He wasn't trying to explain himself. He was just throwing shit out there, knowing that they would run with it, with whatever it was. And I kind of understand that with this tweet. Like, my reaction to the tweet was exactly what I put in the comment section, which was like, this is way over the line. It's wildly offensive. You've gone too far. Like, I'm all for dark humor, but you've gone too far, something like that. And then ... keep going. Like, it's Twitter. I don't really care at the end of the day. Like, I understand some people's concerns and complaints, and we're gonna watch a couple clips from the No Way Jose interaction between you and Dave, which I'm sure will be fun for you. But great. Dave made some good points. Yeah, yes. I agree with both sides here. I agree with Dave a lot on a lot of this stuff. And I also
there are very fine people on both sides. So.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, and it's a lot like Charlottesville, but on this time between Reed and Dave, both sides are Nazis, so we can go ahead and I don't know. I do agree with both. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I understand people's concerns who this is affecting, but at the same time, this isn't new. Especially in New Hampshire, this is not like a new development that suddenly they got offensive tweets. That was the entire reason New Hampshire was being cooed back in the day. It was for spicy tweets. So this one, I do agree with the point of some sort of message that is at least findable. Like maybe do you ever think about, and I don't know if this is even a good idea, just throwing it out there, but like putting a comment underneath with a link or something just ominous, a link to some terrible thing that she said or did or something like that, or something her father did. I don't know. Like, I do think that there's a way to concisely and still dark, dry, sarcastically make a point that more people get than this. Like, I think that's really the only issue here, is that most people didn't get it, and they're just like, these people are assholes.
No. I would not say most people. I would say maybe half of the people didn't get it.
Okay.
At most. I mean, it was
that
right
half
on the
was
line.
Really loud about it.
Of course.
I guess the other side was really loud about their disagreement as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was 11,500 likes and 11,500 comments. So it was kind of split right down the middle. And a lot of people thought it was really great. A lot of people thought it was really bad. And then some people were just kind of like, I don't know if this is a good idea or not. And then people who were on the fence ended up going either direction with it. Some people a couple days later were like, holy shit, this was so genius. I thought it was kind of crazy at the time. But then after seeing the meltdown of all the people, who have blue check accounts, who are just like talking about what a great war hero John McCain is, and seeing people who say they want mean tweets back with better policies suddenly getting outraged over this, like, to them, it was all beautiful. And then some other people were on the line, and then later on, they're like, yeah, I don't think this was a great idea. So I think it was really split. I don't think it was really hard one way or the other.
Yeah, and if that is true, then I stand by my I don't give a shit stance of great. Like, even more so. Like, I don't care about Twitter as an entity necessarily, like, other than what it can do for you. And if your goal is to garner a bunch of media attention, success, you did it. Now we're gonna watch some of these clips from this episode. We're not gonna watch the whole. It was like a 40-minute segment of him just, I don't know, bending you over and spanking you, and you just kind of sat there with that dead-eyed hooker expression of yours.
Well, hold on. I think there's a little more. I think I did lose connection for about 5 minutes, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And I was also sick as a dog while we were doing this, and didn't even want to do the show, and was convinced I had to come defend my side of the argument, so I showed up.
Nice. Honestly, I thought it was fine, and I don't know, we can talk about it more, but the person who sent it to me was like, dude, Reed looks like he's ready, like he's pissed off the whole time or something. I'm like, that's fucking Reed. Like, has Reed ever not looked pissed off? Like, okay. But yeah, I think there's some things to unpack here, and I'll give you a little bit more time to talk than Dave did. So here's this.
Oh yeah, let's that's great. Now,
before that, here's Dave.
So now I see Lydia from fucking the booker for Tim Pool's show, who has booked me and Clint and Scott Horton, and Michael Heiss, and you know what I mean, Maj Touré and Eric July, and put all of our like biggest, like people in front of 1 million listeners, just giving them their over and over and over again. And now she tweets something, and I see my people like trashing her because she didn't like one tweet. Like, do you guys have any sense of like fucking what are we trying to do here, man? This is so stupid.
So that's the first one. And I will say, I don't disagree with him. I think the thing that was more detrimental than the tweet itself was some of the people who were doing the dogpiling on, like, Spike Cohen, Lydia, and Justin Mosh and people. Like, if somebody, especially as libertarians, if somebody is like, yeah, I think this was stupid, okay, then you think it was stupid. I don't know. It's not like we're dogpiling on Reason Magazine saying, vaccines are a great thing for liberty, or like vaccine mandates are a great thing for liberty. We're dogpiling on people that agree with us 99% of the way and are like Spike's a Mises Caucus guy, Lydia's into the Mises Caucus, like all the stuff that we support, these people were into. I mean, Justin Mosh, not so much, but who knows? Who knows about that guy? But I do think it's I was more concerned, like more, I don't know if I want to say upset, but more off-put, I suppose would be the word, by the people, and some of them I'm good friends with, who were doing that kind of behavior than I was with the tweet being mean to Meghan McCain, because the tweet was being mean to Meghan McCain, not all of our good friend Spike Cohen. Like, it's like, what is the goal? So I don't know. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with them too, actually. I think there's different levels of dogpiling. Kyle Matovic was bringing up tweets of all these different blue check marks who came and were condemning us, who had said, a couple weeks prior, like, boy, I could really take some mean tweets right now. And then they were flipping out. I think that's totally justified. Like pointing out if people are hypocrites,
right. So he was this Kyle guy, I'm not familiar with him, but he had posted, I could take some more mean tweets in my life, basically, and then when
no. So like Lydia had posted that recently, and then a bunch of other conservative blue checks that came out condemning us. He went through all their profiles and found tweets of them saying they want mean tweets back and posted them right under their condemnation of us, which I thought was hilarious.
I'm fine with that.
That type of thing, I'm 100% for.
I doubt you'll find a tweet from Spike Cohen where he's like, I need more mean tweets in my life. So,
yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I would even say Justin Amash, I was not upset with what he said. And I've said this all the way through. The way Justin Amash and Spike reacted was 100% expected.
Right.
And I didn't think it was uncalled for either. Like, Spike even made a tweet saying something like, look, if that's what you want to do, go for it. It's just not my style and I'm not going to do it, or something like that. And I don't care. That's fine. And then Justin Amash didn't defend Meghan McCain at all. He said something along the lines of like, this is a disgusting tweet. If you're going to be a libertarian, you got to lead with love. And I know John McCain is an awful, terrible war criminal that is worse than these tweets, but this isn't the way you do it, or something like that, which that is a constructive criticism.
Advice. I'm fine with that.
That's fine. It's the demanding that, we need to stop and we need to change our messaging and we need to get rid of people, blah, blah, blah. Like that type of stuff is crazy. And people demanding we be disaffiliated, stuff like that. That stuff like that coming from our own camp is really what I had an issue with. Anything outside of that, I didn't really care. But yeah, I was, when people are piling on Spike, I didn't think that was great. And we even made a tweet saying something along the lines of like, look, Spike and Justin are good libertarians and they just have a different approach when it comes to messaging. So I don't think it's fair to blame that on us because we didn't instigate that and we didn't encourage it either. We weren't retweeting or liking people attacking Justin Amash or Spike Cohen. We did like some tweets like hitting back at them and saying, no, this is why this is good. Retweeting people disagreeing with them. But none of the stuff where it was just like straight up insulting and mean and, uncalled for or whatever. So I don't, this was my biggest disappointment about this whole segment with me and Dave that we're watching here is I had a bad connection and I was sick and I didn't get to talk at all. And I felt like he was kind of straw manning my side. Like he was saying that, look, this is what I think. And it would be like, yeah, Dave, we agree with you though. None of us were egging people on to attack Lydia or Spike. And this just happened all the way through this thing. And I couldn't really respond because I either wasn't there or I just couldn't get a word in. So whatever.
Yeah, I do think this would have been more productive if it was like just you two and a moderator actually having a conversation. Nothing against Jose or Clint, obviously, but
no, they suck.
Yeah, I mean they're obviously they're whatever. They're toxic man babies. But with this, I did find myself wishing that you had a moment to speak, to defend yourself. Not that I don't know, in that condition you might not have been in the best place to put it as you are now, so whatever. But Dave talks a lot. I'm sure he wouldn't disagree with that statement. And I love all these people, so nothing against Dave, obviously. But here is let me see what this next one was. I think it might just be more of the dogpiling. Let me see.
It just drives me crazy, man. Is seeing like fucking like the people like going after our like allies. Like that. Like I said before, like I got to watch like Lydia or like these people getting like piled by my people on Twitter, like calling them all sellouts and making these fucking videos, you know, like even the things like, oh, let's shit on Spike Cohen and Justin Amash. Dude, Spike Cohen and Justin Amash, and like I have obviously some disagreements with both of them. More with Justin Amash. Spike is a genuinely just like, I think, great dude and a friend of mine, and I think probably most people.
Yeah, whatever. You don't agree. So
actually, I am Spike Cohen's chauffeur this weekend. I'm picking him up in Maryland and taking him to Washington D.C. and we're going on a mini road trip. So
does he know about your like anti-Semitism?
I haven't really talked to him about it yet. No one's told him yet, so he's a little in the dark on it. But
it's been very well kept secret. Yes. No. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, I know Spike's a pretty open-minded, cool dude. Like, he's fine with me saying the things that I say. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that he's fine with me saying the things that I say here. He's fine knowing that I say some unsavory things on my show. I'm sure he's not watching or listening ever, but he's been on my show many times and still working together and stuff. And he's like a brother. But I disagreed with him on when he came out. I don't know. I don't even know if I disagreed with him, because if I was asked like on a news broadcast, like, what are your thoughts on this thing that just came out? It's like one of your people saying something anti-Semitic, like the second tweet they brought up, and he's like, I disagree with that. Like, okay, that's really all that should have to be said. I didn't post it. It's not me posting it. It's not from our national account. It's not even from an account in a state that I'm closely linked to. I don't agree with it necessarily, but ask them what they think about it. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think this video that we're watching clips from, by the way, right now I think it's 6 weeks since we sent the tweets. I think something like, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I've talked about it way too many times since then, but having you on, I didn't have a choice.
Right. That video is from like 3 weeks ago, and I actually called Spike and talked to him on the phone like a couple days after everything went down, and everything was chill, and it was a private conversation, so I won't share anything he hasn't said publicly, but he did basically say the same things that he said publicly, which was like, I'm not in New Hampshire. This isn't like me saying this or the National Party saying this. I don't think an official account should say that type of stuff. And all right, cool, fine. Like, that's a fair criticism. That's a fine opinion to have.
You don't have to think that we should. That doesn't mean we're going to stop.
Right. Like I said in the video you just played, I agree. So I don't know.
And really all of this to me,
I feel like this was
like all of it seems like common sense to me. Like people who are pissed off at Dave for the things he said here, and I've had people reach out and be like, what do you think about Dave being such an asshole to New Hampshire? He owes them an apology. I'm like, no, he doesn't. Like, I agree with most of the things he says. He might not have been the most tactful about it, but this wasn't like the main concern is like, well, is he going to defend the Libertarian Party when he's in like the mainstream media? Like, this doesn't bode well or doesn't look good. It's like, dude, this is like iron sharpening iron. This is this is guys within the Libertarian Party having a conversation and discussing what the best messaging strategy is for the Libertarian Party. That's all this is. Like, this isn't MSNBC asking, what'd you think about the tweet, and him saying, I think that we would bring more people to liberty if those New Hampshire people got their shit together. Like, come on, this is
no, it is a different circumstance, and also, I mean, my biggest disappointment with how the segment went is it just didn't paint an accurate picture of how we feel in New Hampshire, because
you were sitting there silently.
Well, I didn't get a fucking
scowling.
We never expected the national account to back us up, or Dave Smith or anyone to like come swooping in and say, yes, we are 100% behind this tweet. And we've made that very clear to every publication we've ever talked to. And like you said, it's not like this wasn't already the way things were in New Hampshire. This has been precedent from New Hampshire for well over a year. I mean, even McCain tweeting isn't a precedent. Like, they made the tweet about John McCain's brain tumor saving more lives than Anthony Fauci. And then, like, you know, they've deleted tweets too. Like, I'm sure we'll get into the 6 million tweet or whatever. Like, they deleted the one on Civil Rights Day about like black people owe America something or whatever. So it's just like, I don't know, this type of things happens and everyone has mostly forgotten about it already. So It's just
let's talk about it some more.
Twitter.
Make sure they don't forget.
Exactly.
Speaking of things that we would rather that they don't forget, that 6 million tweet. I mean, I talked to some people after. I've talked about it on my show, and I've talked to Heist. I've talked to a couple people. It's like, I think we all agree. We don't even have to talk about it at length. Go watch this episode, because your statement there, I completely agree with. Like, yeah, we realized that one kind of missed the mark, so we deleted it. Not that big a deal. Moving on. Okay, we didn't mean for it to just, like, the obvious issue with that one is just, like, not only was there no clear messaging, like, that's Dave's main concern, is that there was no clear messaging in the McCain one. This one didn't even have, like, a point other than a joke, and that joke...
No, I wouldn't agree with that quite.
Okay.
So, actually, a couple weeks ago, the minimum wage tweets were going out again. It was the whole, like, $80,000 minimum wage, or you hate black people, or, like, $40 million minimum wage, or you're racist, and none of them had any quote tweets to them, right? None of them were quote tweeting Nina Turner saying $25 hour minimum wage, or whatever she said, because she did that again, and it did spark off the exact same chain reaction. And we even commented on Nina Turner's tweet saying, last time we tried to parody this, we got in trouble. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
So there was a point. It was making fun of people who say, you need to support this minimum wage, or you're this. That was the point we were making. But it did, like, obviously enough people took it the wrong way that it wasn't a successfully landing joke. So I don't think it was a bad tweet. I would make that tweet from my account, and I would have left it up.
Yeah, and that's why your account is allegedly still deleted.
That's why it's allegedly gone. But I think it's fair that it did not land well enough to be representing the Libertarian Party, and it probably shouldn't have been made. So I think everyone agrees on that.
Yeah, the issue is not that it's a joke, or not that there wasn't a point. The point is fair, and if it was a comment on something, or if it was quote tweeted, as painful as that might be, like, the problem is
you can see why that's 20. You can see why that's hindsight, though. Like, if you go look at any of these other tweets that were going out a couple weeks ago, none of them are quote tweets, and everyone knows what they're talking about. And this was just like, oh shit, we should have been a quote tweet.
The problem is that if somebody's not there for the trend while it's happening, and they just see this in the future, which is all they're seeing now, it's just like, okay, so they're
Holocaust
deniers. Are they going for that? Is that what they're doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, they wouldn't say interesting, obviously, because it takes much less than that for you to be labeled a Nazi these days. But we do have a couple more clips here. We do have to talk about Tyler Hobbs before we get out of here. God rest his soul. I'm pretty sure he died. I don't know. It's hard to say. But a couple more here. I don't remember what they are. Let's find out.
Like, look, you easily could have been like tweeted that picture, and the message could have been like, this is very sad. But you know what? All of the millions of victims of McCain's wars, blah, 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 didn't have funerals.
This is where I
like
disagree with them.
I don't know. I'm just off the top of my head, not constructing a tweet. But there could have been...
don't interrupt Dave Smith while he's talking.
I'm sorry.
A message that was still really bold, but also wasn't just going, happy holidays, here's a girl crying over her dead dad's corpse, or here's a guy. So I don't even know. I don't even understand how this is a fucking argument, to be honest. Like, this is just like... insane to me. But okay, fine. If that's what you think we should do, if that's
no, the next.
Did you hear that?
The next part is.
Did you hear me say, "Oh, are you guys still there?"
Yeah,
it's because the screen froze right there, and then I think within like 10 seconds I disappear and I'm gone for like.
Yeah, I knew you were having trouble. As icy as your normal death stare is, I was like, this is even out of character for Reed. He's going in hard. Yes. So yeah, I do agree with him to some point on this, in that, as I don't know, I go back and forth. Like, if somebody else wants to be mean on Twitter and that's working for them, I'm like, okay, great, go for it. That's fine with me. Like, I legitimately don't care, because it's just fucking Twitter, and I'm not in New Hampshire. You're not representing me really in any way. I don't take this. I was gonna say I don't take this libertarian stuff that seriously. I do, but I don't take this Libertarian Party stuff so seriously that it's cult behavior where if somebody does something, it has to impact or influence me and what I'm doing for it. But I do understand and he talks about, like, they went to bat for LPNH, and you can weigh in on that if you have thoughts, but they went to bat for you guys, and now it's kind of coming back being a problem. And more importantly, if you're going to be like this bastion of humanitarianism, and the first anyone's first introduction is like literally on surface level just laughing at a woman for her father dying, a war hero, a great patriot, veteran, whatever. It's just, yeah, there's some issues there, and I don't know how I feel about them, but tell me how to feel.
Yeah, so I think the problem is everyone wants a uniform version of messaging, and I don't think that's the way we should be at all.
I don't want a uniform version of messaging. To be, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty clear about that since I work with Jeremy Kauffman and Spike Cohen and all these people, Joe Jorgensen. Like, I don't need a uniform version of messaging. It's just, I think the more we look like complete and utter fucking dicks with no purpose and no reason.
Again, there's a purpose and a reason, and it works for a lot of people. I mean, that tweet had 11,500 likes, and it got us new donors at LPNH. It got a couple people to consider moving to New Hampshire. It got us international news where we were able to give full thought out responses because we had several news publications directly contact us and ask us why we made the tweets. And even in the ones they didn't, most of the articles, if you read them, I actually wrote a whole Substack about this. So there was this tweet, and then there was the 6 million tweet, and then there was the Hitler Zelensky tweet. Did you see that one, or did you miss that one?
Was it just his face with the mustache on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, it's just true.
Yeah. So again, like, Zelensky is not a Nazi, right? He isn't personally a Nazi, but there are neo-Nazi factions in his government.
He's closer than we are, and people call us that all the time, so be it. He knows more Nazis than I've ever met in my life, because if it's one, it's more than I've ever met.
So all this to say, yes, there are some people who on the surface level, if this is all they're going to see, it's going to turn them off and they might never look at us again. That is undeniably true about some people, but it does inspire a whole bunch of different people to look at us and be like, whoa, what the fuck is up with these guys? Like, they're, they hate John McCain. I hate John McCain too. Why do they hate John McCain? Oh, wow, this article says this is why they hate him. So, I think that there's got to be different strategies. I don't think we should all be trying the same thing. I think if the National Party had tweeted this, or if Dave Smith had tweeted this, that would have been a mistake. Sure. I do like some edginess from Dave or from the National Party sometimes, but, I don't think they should all be like us. I think it's actually good that you have some gay accounts. Like Texas is pretty lame. They're not that interesting, and fine. Like, some people are going to be attracted to Texas's messaging. Other people are going to be attracted to New Hampshire's messaging. And I understand people who say, like, okay, that's fine, but that should be individuals, not official accounts. Like, if Jeremy Kauffman wants to be crazy, that's fine, but the New Hampshire party can't be. And I'm sorry, but like, if Dave, even though he has way bigger account than we do, if he had tweeted out happy holidays with Meghan McCain, I don't think it would have gone nearly as viral. Yeah. It was because it was an official party account that was like, what the hell? Like, what are these guys doing? These guys are crazy. And the same with the Hitler Zelensky tweet. I mean, the Jerusalem Post was writing about us. And, initially it was over the 6 million tweet, but then they did a follow-up article about the Zelensky tweet, and they're putting stuff in there like, these guys want to end all aid to Israel and to Saudi Arabia and to Ukraine and Taiwan. Like, these guys are nuts. Like, oh no, don't report that about us. So, like, you're gonna get the negative with the good. And I'm sorry, but if the 6 million tweet hadn't been sent out, they would have just used the Civil Rights Day tweet. They would have dug it up and been, oh, you should have seen what these guys said back then, or they would have dug up something Jeremy.
I mean, I have seen I have seen them thrown in there when these are being talked about already. So even with it,
I mean, they're going to find something. So, like, I think despairing that something missed the mark and got reported on in the mainstream news alongside stuff that got 100 times the amount of attention that was overwhelmingly good press, I think is just ridiculous. And so, like, I think my biggest disagreement with the Mises Caucus people in general, typically, not all of them, but a lot of them, is that we all need to be Ron Paul 2.0. And I just don't agree with that, because we're not Ron Paul. And I've had Ron Paul on my show, And when I asked him what we should do, when I asked him what we should do, he said, you have to do whatever it is you do, like whatever you're good at and have fun with it. And that's what you got to do. So
Ron Paul told you, he said, you have to make anti-Semitic tweets. I mean, you have to do whatever it is you do. And that is what Reed seems to do. Or at least that's what someone told me.
Well, you can't deny that Ron Paul, not Ron Paul, but his newsletter led the charge. We were just following in Ron Paul's footsteps.
Leave Jeffrey Tucker alone.
Dude, I did have the idea that, the image that's the Ron Paul Institute tweeted it out accidentally once. It was a black guy and a Jewish guy and I forget and it's Marxism on I forget what the caption is or whatever. I found that image. I said we should tweet and say, hey, we're sorry, we accidentally meant to tweet this instead or something like that. I don't think it would have gone over well. But my thing is, dude, and I know we're gonna talk about
they really want to get that joke because that's niche of the only people who even know about that are disgruntled former libertarians who are now wandering somewhere between Green and Democrat Party.
Yeah, well, I know we're going to talk about Tyler Hobbs, but we have to have a little bit of fun with this. People who are getting so butthurt over the Tyler Hobbs hacking, it's Jesus Christ, guys, come on, just fucking roll with it.
Stop spoiling it, Reed.
We can't. I'll stop spoiling it, but I feel the same way with a lot of this stuff. We, unless someone's actually being malicious, which none of the stuff from New Hampshire was malicious from anybody, and I don't think it was in the past either. Before I was even there. None of it has been malicious. Some of it hasn't worked as well as we'd hoped or whatever. But we're really experimenting over here because what libertarians have done hasn't worked. None of it has worked. I mean, we're just becoming more and more authoritarian. The closest thing to working has been the Free State Project. And if we want to make some national news and try to stir things up and get the conversation started, you got to be risky. And we were risky, and some of it worked and some of it didn't. And I don't know. I kind of think we're the tip of the spear trying to figure this out. And so instead of getting really angry at us and some people condemning us and wanting us, disaffiliated or removed or whatever, it's look, guys, we're trying to figure this out for you. So, what is allowable for you to say. So
right.
I don't know. That's pretty much encapsulates my thoughts on the whole thing.
Reed, you've completely changed my mind. And it is just a slight shift from where it was from I don't care to no, you're right. You're right. I agree with you. My show back in the day, and sometimes even now, I'm talking about the unity shit and the liberty unity shit that you were all about, like a queer back in the day or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know back last year.
Yeah.
But just before you pontificate more, I still believe that core principle that if we're all after the same thing, we shouldn't be tearing each other apart, which is actually what I'm saying here. New Hampshire's after the same thing you guys are. So if you don't like what they're doing,
and some Democrats hate John McCain
better,
and some Republicans hate John McCain. And if we can agree on a thing, if we can at least find common ground on John McCain was a monster and his daughter isn't doing much better and deserves some ridicule, then that whoever you can get to agree with you on that, go for it and work with them on that. But there's a part of me that's I want to be the Spike Cohen unifier, the former Reed Coverdale, and there's another part of me then you go on Twitter and you find out that I don't necessarily always feel that way, and as the left would call it, a diversity of tactics. But when they say it, it means killing people or breaking out windows. That's their diversity of tactics and strategies there. Here it's we're talking about tweets, and the worst outcome that you have to that you have from that is you have to explain a little bit. You have to talk to somebody. Okay, well maybe they weren't going to talk to you before that happened. Maybe now that you have something to talk about and they have something to be pissed off about, maybe if you have sit down, cool your jets a bit, and come up with a rational explanation, it'll open more doors than it closes. But it's hard to say, and I'm open to the decentralized experimentation. I think that's what all this is. I think that's what I wish Twitter was more like that. That's my hope for Elon Musk Twitter, is that it will be more of a free range, old school internet land where people can say things that are offensive. And so it's I don't know. I'm fine with people disagreeing with it, and I'm also fine with y'all. Like, I won't lose sleep at night if you don't post any more offensive shit, but I also won't lose sleep at night if you do post more offensive shit. It's you guys. You can do your thing, and I'm here for the ride. Now there was
one last comment on that is
Sure.
My brother works here in New Hampshire on power lines, and he was talking with his crew a couple months ago about the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire, Jeremy Kauffman, and how I was like campaigning for him. And his crewmates said, well, your brother's not doing a very good job because I've never heard of the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire or Jeremy Kauffman. And then the week after this tweet went out, my brother called me and said, holy shit, everybody on the job today is talking about Jeremy Kauffman and the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire, like posting some outrageous shit on Twitter or something. And I was like, hey, you told me no one was talking. So there you go.
You're talking now, motherfucker.
Strategy.
Yeah, I have a Republican friend in DC area who works in politics and stuff, and he's been hitting me up like, dude, this shit's hilarious. Like, he sent me the John McCain stuff, or like he sent my own tweet where my response to it, he was like, you had me there for a second. Like, there are some people behind the scenes who aren't allowed to say, yeah, this is pretty funny. So calm down, people. It's Twitter. But one more thing on this, because Dave made some points that some people might find objectionable, and but he did say at least the most objectionable thing actually was in this last clip that I cut it off before.
If that's what you think we should do, then fine. Have fun with your fucking 16 people who really believe in fucking anarcho-capitalism with you. Fine. Okay. I guess you guys know how to fucking start a movement, so go start it. But
to me, that was the most off-putting, because what does that mean? The anarcho-capitalist guy who has anarcho-capitalist friends saying that there's 16 anarcho-capitalist people who agree with you?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the most... I think I was disconnected at this point, right?
Yeah, probably. It looks like it.
Frozen and like can't hear anything.
Either disconnected or disassociating, or like just out-of-body experience.
We have different strategies. Like the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire's strategy... Oh yeah, see, there I go. I'm gone. Is not to wake up tens of millions of people or whatever. Like, I know that's Dave's strategy, and we support him in that. But he's got to understand, like, New Hampshire's strategy is specifically different. We're creating like a libertarian homeland, and we're trying to be repulsive to non-liberty people. Like, I mean, if you see the ads we put out, we are trying to really grind people's gears who don't agree with libertarianism. And there's people on Twitter who are embarrassed to admit they're from New Hampshire because of us. Like, that is totally what we're going for. We're trying to make people who don't believe in liberty uncomfortable, who still live here, and then try to signal to people around the country who do believe in liberty to move here. And it's working. So it's like, look, Dave, we're not like, this wasn't meant to kneecap you, and this wasn't meant for us to prove to you that we have a better strategy than you do for creating a nationwide movement, because we're just not on the same path. We're 100% supportive of what you're doing, and we'll try to help you out. But at the same time, like, what we're doing is different, and we're not like claiming to be better at what you're trying to do than you are. We're just in two completely different lanes going for a similar objective, but not the same route. So yeah, that was kind of the most offhand comment he made, I think. But
agreed.
Oh well.
CD says, no, Dan, you don't want to bear the cross of unity. And you're right. I don't want to bear the cross of unity. I want other people to bear the cross of unity. I'm saying I would unify with people who agree with me on things. I'm not saying I will go out of my way to unify with other people. Like, if there's common ground, I'm down to chat about that common ground. And if there's slight disagreements like there is here, then great. Have the conversation. But, whatever. While Reed was away, though, in this conversation, Dave said the most poignant and obviously brilliant thing that he said in the entire time. And Reed, have you gone back and listened to what he said while you were gone?
I think so. Is this about how great a person I am, or which part is it? Well, he said the most poignant, brilliant thing he said in the whole thing. So
yes, and it was this.
No.
But obviously, I love Reed. And I fucking, Reed's my guy. I've done everything I can to fucking promote Reed. I love Jeremy Kauffman. I think the war is gay commercial was to me the best piece. That was the best piece of like libertarian messaging because it was so clear.
Yeah, the
right?
video
it's
work
like,
was
it's so
a little
clear what the joke is, and if you're going to use like humor, that's the way to do it. It's like
what he just said there. Some people may not realize what he said there. There was some subtle context there that you must be aware of. He just said that I'm better than Reed Coverdale.
Ooh. Yeah, but I'm your fault, so this doesn't really matter.
Right. And also, he didn't mention my name because nobody ever... The one rule of shadow government is nobody talks about shadow government, except for shadow government, and then nobody believes him. But... yes, I do think that there's something to be said there. Like with the war is gay thing, I've said this a million times on the show. Like Jeremy Kauffman, when I sent him the first cut, he was like, I don't know, I don't want to, because like I came up with like all the text and even the war is gay title and everything, and his first response was, I don't know if I want to use gay. I don't like using gay as a pejorative. Like, are you telling me that it's my job to make Jeremy Kauffman worse because this joke is perfect? And it's going to stay. And but with that, like the war is gay thing, it grabs your attention because it grabs your attention in the same way as the Meghan McCain thing. We're like, whoa, what the hell? But with it being like a 2-minute video or whatever, it tells the joke a little bit further. I understand that you can't do that with a tweet, but I don't know. Maybe there's something that you could have done slightly better. That's all I'm saying. Something in the messaging of like just an extra 3 or 4 words that would have still sounded snarky on the surface, but would have given a little bit of a wink to the people who are going to agree with you. But again, I agree with you anyway, so it is what it is.
I think the McCain tweet and the Zelensky tweet are perfect. I think the 6 million one missed. So the 6 million one, if it had been a quote tweet, I think we would have left it up regardless of criticism. It just was missing that unfortunately crucial element. But the other two, you could have added more context, but I don't think they would have had the same virality that it did without it. Like, I think ambiguity actually is an interesting tool that you can use. You know, I mean, it almost lets people extrapolate what they want from something you're saying and proves who they really are, you know? So it's an interesting thing to observe. So I stand by the McCain and the Zelensky tweet. By the way, I'm not going to say which ones, but I did not make all these tweets. I know people think it was all me. It was not all me. It was a group effort, and I didn't come up with all the ideas. So there you go.
Well, I know about 5 people that it could have been, so I'll just name them all right now.
Right?
Yes. I'll just name them all, so you know you'll know in one way or another.
There's actually fewer than 5, but
yeah. So we can move on from that. That happened, and as you said, really nobody cares at this point. Like all this stuff blows over so fast. It moves on to something completely different, and then we're pissed off or celebrating the same people or different people for something different. Either way, nobody's really thinking about the Meghan McCain thing right now, which is why we shouldn't have spent this much time on it. But here we are.
I'll make questionable decisions. I'll be in fact of all I saw.